name is Lindsay. I'm here with Brew, and I have Adam with me from Dangerous Minds. Adam, thank you so much for coming today.
You're very welcome.
For having us, rather. So Adam, we're here at your brewery in Pompano Beach, Florida. What got you started in brewing?
So my business partner Andre, who's not here right now, he's a neighbor of mine, and we started. He's from Germany and I'm from the UK, and we were starting as neighbors to watch soccer games together, or football as we call it, and drinking beer. And he had previously dabbled in a little bit of home brewing, and so we thought, well, while we're here watching the games on the weekend, why don't we just do some home brew? So that's really how it all started. And then we basically got a little bigger in our ambitions and went from, brewing outside on a little gas burner to buying a 1-barrel electric brew system, which we put in his dad's house.
In the house?
In the house.
Okay.
So he had his dad, obviously is from Germany too, and he would spend maybe 2 or 3 months a year here. So we had the full use of the house, and we used his front room as our little brewery. And then we started entering some local competitions, and really got into the whole culture of brewing and visiting breweries in Colorado and New York and all these places. So we just really enjoyed it and worked well together, and so that's really how we started off brewing.
Now, how long ago was this?
This was about, must be 7 or 8 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in South Florida?
Yes. Yeah.
All in South Florida. Okay. 7 or 8 years ago. Started as a home brewer. So what made you make the leap to opening a full, beautiful brewery, restaurant, everything?
Well, there's a lot of components to that. But basically, visiting other breweries from around the country, we'd really like the scene and the culture and the camaraderie with the brewing. And like brewing and beer itself, and so having visited all these breweries, we figured, we can do this. And Andre was in IT and really hated his job.
Okay.
I'd been in a job that I'd been doing for a long time and was ready to make a change, and that's really how we kind of started in that. But before we made the leap, we wanted to really see if it's something that we would be able to do. So we actually took a brewery immersion course in Colorado.
Oh, really?
Yeah, run by a guy named Tim Hennessy, who's been in the business for many years, both in restaurants and in breweries and brew pubs. And so he basically, for 3 days, gave us an insight to everything from front of house to back of house in running, operating, brewing, you name it. And after we did that course, we were like, this is what we want to do. So
that's so cool.
That's when we started looking for locations and coming up with business plans and things like that.
So you actually went to Colorado, stayed in this guy's brewery, and just did everything he did for 3 days?
Basically, yeah. We stayed in a hotel.
Well, right, I understand. But you went to his brewery hands-on, in-house.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And it was really a great thing because he gave us a thumb drive which had his whole business plan and model and everything in it. So we've based this off his business model.
Sure, okay.
He was very open about everything, his numbers, even his beer recipes, the food aspect of things, how to manage staff, payroll, everything from back of house to front of house we went through. And it really opened our eyes to what it was like to run a brewery. I'd had a little restaurant experience in the past, but Andre hadn't at all. So since we've opened, Andre has done most of the brewery side of things, and I've pretty much been involved in front of house and kitchen, back of house for the most part.
Okay, all right. So you get back to Florida and you're ready to start your brewery.
Yep.
How'd you come up with the name Dangerous Minds?
Well, again, that's another long story. We actually originally had another name, but obviously there's copywriting issues and things like this. So, we came up with a lot of names and did a lot of searches on the internet, and it's surprising how many names are already taken by even tiny little home brewers and stuff that you just don't want to.
Copyrighted. You can't
just don't want to touch that stuff. But when we were home brewing and entering competitions, you have to come up with a name for a beer. So we had started coming up with names that kind of were named after famous scientists, activists, philosophers, things like that. And eventually we came across Dangerous Minds.
Okay.
We were looking at Great Minds, but we didn't like the ring to that.
Okay.
So we're like, these people could have done dangerous things but didn't, and so Dangerous Minds kind of stuck.
Interesting.
So that's yeah, pretty much every one of our beers, aside from a couple of them, are in some way linked with a dangerous mind, as we call
So
them.
give me an example.
So you are drinking a Stein of Wein,
Okay.
Albert Einstein, and Stein is obviously also a drinking vessel in Germany.
Yes,
so
yes.
so that had a catch to it. So we have a Stein of Wein. We have von Bingen, which is named after Hildegard von Bingen, who's a lady who's done many things, but one of the things that she did years and years and years ago was starting to experiment with the use of hops in beverages. So we use her name for that. That's it. So yeah, there's pretty much every one of our beers. We have a beer that we named, it's a blonde ale, we named it Sexy Woman, which is
very dangerous.
Which is very, well, actually it's an Incan ruin in Cusco. So the Incas are people who had great minds, dangerous minds, and developed Peru in a very unique way with their buildings and architecture and stuff like that. So we thought that was a catchy name, so we went with that one too.
Cool. What's your best seller?
So it depends on the season, I've noticed, but right now I would say our Cocobana and the Stein of Wein are the two biggest sellers. The Cocobana is a blonde ale, which we've infused with toasted coconut and guanabana, or soursop as some people call it.
Yes.
It's a super nice, refreshing, easy to drink, low ABV beer, which can perfect for Florida weather. You can sit by the pool or at the beach or outside at our tap room and drink that all day long. And people like IPAs, so our standard, American IPA is very popular.
So explain to me what you mean when you say a low AVP.
ABV.
ABV.
Alcohol by volume.
Okay.
So it's about, so the lower the ABV, the less likely you're to get drunk, right? So you can drink it for longer. So
more till you get drunk.
Exactly. So some of these.
So you can drink more of these is why people like it.
Yeah, I think so. And it's not so heavy, so it doesn't fill you as much, and you can socialize better. You're not getting absolutely hammered on just a couple of beers. You
right.
know?
Okay.
Like some of these quads and stouts that can be upward of 10% alcohol by volume. So this is my favorite beer, and it's still early in the day, believe it or not. It's 10 a.m. So I served it in a small glass.
Don't tell anybody that.
So it's not the correct glass for this beer, but this is Scottish ale. I grew up in the Scottish borders, and so I wanted to recreate the beer that I would drink back home, which is the 90 shilling, a Scottish ale, which is nice and malty, low in hops. It just reminds me of home, so I wanted to create, and it's actually a very good seller too. A lot of our regulars like the Scottish ale. Okay. So we called that 95.4 shillings. So this one isn't actually named after anyone. We just added the Florida state sales tax to the 90 shillings, and that came up with 954. At the time, it was 6%. It's now 7%. But and also it's the Broward County phone area code.
That's right. That's right.
So
it is. Okay.
That seemed to work pretty well.
Okay. Not as popular as the 305, but
right. 954. Why not?
But we're just as fun. Anyway, so Adam, you say you're not from America. You're from the UK.
Yep.
So tell us the difference between the brewery culture there as opposed to here.
That's a good question that I may not know really the answer to that, because I've been here for 23 years.
Okay.
But I can tell you, back in the day when I lived there, there were a lot of small brewers which were making a lot of good beers and selling them to local pubs. They weren't selling them in tap rooms and on site. I think in the UK now, things have started to evolve a bit in the way that the US, and they're kind of copying the US a little bit in that, more of these small microbreweries and what have you are opening up, and they're opening up tap rooms. And that wasn't common a few years ago. I think they're a little bit behind the US when it comes to that. So most of the beer in the brewery culture back in the UK traditionally were small places selling to pubs and you know, just local good pubs, good beers, and the pubs would rotate the beers a lot, and there'd be different seasonal beers. Another thing that's probably slightly different is the beer styles. There's a lot more lagers and British bitters.
Not a lot of this there.
Well, this is American IPA, so there wasn't a lot of that. However, the American IPA and sours and indeed some other beers are starting to really get popular in the UK. My brother is really into craft beer, and he's back home, and he's always talking about the new American IPAs that he's getting over there. Them. Yeah. So it's a lot different to you know, an English IPA. It's much hoppier.
Okay.
So you know, it's starting to evolve in the UK like the US now, and it's becoming quite similar, I believe.
Great. So you were mentioning that we are in Broward County.
Yep.
And I know with beer and alcohol, there are lots and lots of rules, the way that things are properly done. So how are you able, if you are able, to distribute your beer?
Actually, we don't want to distribute. Everything that we make is sold in-house.
Okay. Can I take it with me?
You can. So we have crowlers and growlers, 32 ounces of each. Crowler is a can that you can we can fill fresh in a 32-ounce can, and we have a little canning machine there, a crowler machine, where we can seal the cans and you can take them home. And we also have the bottles, the growlers, and you can bring in your own growler and we can fill it, or you can buy one of our growlers and we'll fill it directly from the tap, so you can take it home and drink it at home. The reason we don't distribute right now is a couple of things, really. Our system is small. In the grand scheme of things, it's 7 barrel. So to produce enough to keep a distributor happy and get it out there, you know, would be very difficult for us, take a lot of man hours.
Yes.
And we just don't really have the space for the storage of kegs and things here. You need, every beer you distribute, you need basically 3 kegs. One that's here, which you're filling, one the distributor has, and one that wherever you distribute it to it has. And we don't have space for canning lines. So, you know, for right now, I mean, I'm not to say that we won't distribute eventually, but for right now, we're selling everything in-house.
Okay, all right. So, not only are you known for your beer, you're also known for your pizza.
Yep.
Not a food from the UK that I would consider.
No.
So, why pizza?
Well, again, we're basing our model off the model of the guy in Colorado.
Gotcha. And he did pizza?
And he did pizza. Okay. And we weren't necessarily going to go with pizza. We were thinking about tacos. We were thinking about a few other things. But the reason we went with pizza is who doesn't like pizza and beer? Exactly. First of all. Secondly, our kitchen is very small. So we have we're able to bang out pizzas in there fairly easily and keep it kind of controlled. And it just seemed like a good fit for us. Yeah, that's really the main reason why we went for pizza. And going by his business model, it was proven that it worked, at least over in Colorado. So, you know, it's all about business in the long run, right? I mean, you've got to love pizza, you've got to love beer, but at the end of the day, for us to survive, we have to have a good business model and a good plan so that we can make money and continue to grow. Okay. That's great. Another thing that you do with your pizza is you're extremely creative with your types of pizza. You don't just walk in here and order a pepperoni and sausage. You could if you wanted to. You could. We have the margarita, we have the pepperoni sausage, we have the cheese. A lot of pizza purists probably wouldn't agree with some of the things that we do. I like that, pizza purist. Okay. But you know, you're fancy. Yeah. You know, we wanted, at first it started with putting a little bit of our culture and heritage on a pizza. Okay. So, you know, in England, Indian food is hugely popular. And I worked for an Indian chef in New York for a time, and he taught me how to cook Indian food. Oh my gosh. So one day I was experimenting at home, and I put chicken tikka masala on a pizza, and it really worked. So we decided to put that on the menu. Andre, obviously being from Germany, brats are huge there, so we decided to do a currywurst pizza with brats and sauerkraut. That worked too. So, and everyone that tried it loved it, so we put it on the menu. And then we just started getting more and more creative, particularly with our daily specials. You know, we call it the dangerous pizza of the day. So we started getting creative. Some of the ideas came from my head, some of the ideas from Googling online, and basically a mishmash of things. So we've done everything from banana and bacon on a pizza to I did a Korean pork. We've done a Mongolian beef. We have a Californian pizza, which is basically our sriracha and avocado and bacon on a pizza. So that went really well. Tonight's special is going to be a pizza with fig jam, bacon, blue cheese crumbles. Should be pretty good.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So I think during the coronavirus shutdown, I think we did 49 different pizzas. So every day of the week we had a different pizza on the go.
I remember my mouth was watering on Instagram every day looking at your pizzas. Very cool. So as you just mentioned, we recently had the COVID-19 shutdown.
Yes.
So as a business owner who serves food to the public, tell me some lessons that you've learned, how things have changed, just what's your take on this situation right now?
Well, I guess everything involves, and our business model was kind of thrown a bit of a curveball there for a minute. So when we were initially told that we had to close down, obviously we were very concerned because most of our business is in-house.
Okay.
So, like I said, we got creative with the pizzas, and we pushed our pizza to go sales more by posting on Instagram. We're also a bit fortunate that we bought this crowler machine just before the shutdown, just good timing really, and we were able to sell. We bought something like 3,000 cans, crowler cans.
Oh, really?
So we're able to sell all of our beer, off-site too, so people could still get our food and our beer to go, which was a real lifesaver for us. I mean, obviously, not being able to have people dine in, that's the culture of going to a brewery.
Exactly.
You want to experience the brewery, you want to meet your friends and stuff like that. So we really had to get creative and change things up and do things that would attract people to come and get our pizza and our beer.
How long have you guys been open?
So we opened we opened on Halloween of last year,
Fun.
October 31st, which was a really busy few days, a lot of hecticness and a lot going on. So we really only had, 4 months before we got shut down.
Before things got crazy.
But I look at it that we were very fortunate that we were able to build up, even in that short period of time, a lot of really good regulars. Pompano Beach is one of those places where it's all about community. We're about community. We like to help other local businesses, do charities, but we built a really good local following, and they have been so supportive.
That's great.
Over the lockdown, and they're the ones that have been keeping us going, and we're blessed, and I thank them a lot.
That's awesome.
So and now we're open again, and they're back in. We are observing all the rules and social distancing.
Yes, absolutely.
And so they're back in and happy to be back, and we're very grateful. And hopefully one day we can show them our love as well back, and put on a big party or something for them.
Cool. I can't wait. I'll be there for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, you're a great customer too. And you, of course.
Yes. Tell me about your brewing setup.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, we have a 7-barrel brew house, which means our mash tun and boil kettle are 7 barrels. We have 4 7-barrel fermenters, which equates to around 310 gallons of beer we can produce at one time. Like I said before, we don't really keg, so once we make the beer, we transfer it directly into our big walk-in cooler here into 7-barrel serving vessels, and we're able to put those directly through the wall here onto our taps.
Wow.
If we're going to do small batch series, we have a small batch series of rotating beers that we make. And so if we're doing a treatment, we will put those in kegs. So we do have a little kegging going on, but most of it's done through the serving vessels. We also have a reverse osmosis water system, so we're able to use the finest water and recreate water styles for whatever beers.
What is, explain that, water style?
Well, so if we're making a Hefeweizen from Germany, the water in Germany is very different to the water here.
Okay.
So when you use a reverse osmosis water system and you're taking all that stuff out of the water, going down to 4 or 5 parts per million of items in there, we can then add our own minerals to recreate the same water that they have in Germany where a good Hefeweizen is made, and likewise for all the other beers. So you can manipulate the water to fit the beer style.
Okay, all right. I never heard that before.
Yep.
That's interesting. Okay.
So we bought our boil kettle and the mash tun from a guy in Colorado. It's a great system, so we love using it. It's gas fired. No, it's brand new.
Okay.
We bought everything brand new. We didn't want to take a chance on second-hand equipment.
Of course.
So
interesting. Okay, great. So Adam, tell me how we can find you.
Well, first of all, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. If you want to physically come here, we are in Pompano Beach, Florida. We are in the Pompano City Center. We're a little unusual to some other breweries in the fact that we're not in a warehouse. We're in a storefront location. We're in the Pompano City Center, which is a mall, which used to be the old-fashioned mall in Pompano Beach. The reason we were attracted to this location, well, many reasons really. I mean, it's right on Federal Highway and Copans. Super amount of parking out here.
Busy shopping center.
Busy shopping center, and they're going through a change. There's been a lot of bad vibes over the city center over recent years, but they're really trying to improve the mall, get a lot of new business in here. They're building, I think, something like 200 or 300 apartments in the back here. We're having a 17,000 square foot music venue go in here. So they're really
Five Below, Burlington, TJ Maxx.
Yeah, a lot more. They're trying to get some smaller boutique stores in here. There's another restaurant that's just opened up yesterday. So that really attracted us to this location, and also the fact that we have an area for outside seating. So we have picnic benches outside, which gives it that kind of like German beer house kind of feel. So yeah, Pompano Beach, Florida. Come on down and try some of our tasty brews and pizza, of course.
Oh, absolutely, the pizza. My personal favorite is a tiki marsala, but it could change. I could try other ones. I could change.
We have live music on the weekends. So tonight we have a local artist, Shannon Battle, who does her own kind of eclectic mix of rock and originals, and she'll be playing outside. We usually get a good crowd for that. So Fridays and Saturdays we have music. On the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays, we show the English Premier League football games, and we make an English breakfast pizza. So
what's on that?
So you've got English breakfast on a pizza. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Well, I'm from Indiana, so you have to explain to me what that is.
We've got mushrooms, bacon, my own homemade sausage. We have the tomato sauce, and then we crack an egg in the middle, put it in the oven. The egg comes out soft. We cut through it, and we serve it with a side of baked beans. So
I knew there was baked beans in there somewhere.
It's also great for a hangover. So,
it sounds good for a hangover.
So
stay here late tonight and then come back in the morning for the breakfast pizza.
Watch your favorite team and have a breakfast pizza. That's it.
Well, Adam, thank you so much. This has been lovely.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody.
It's a pleasure.
Dangerous Minds in Pompano Beach, Florida.